Hi, we are back. It's Chris Petri. Everyone, thanks for coming by again. We're doing part three here. We're doing low-key paintings. We've put in a little bit of theory into our process here. If you haven't seen part one and two, please go back, check it out. I go over just some of the theory behind why we call paintings high key or low key or middle key. Um, Really good information. So I try to also with my videos here once in a while put in a little bit of like theory behind some of the things that we're doing, so this way we just kind of have more of a why behind what we're doing. So okay, we're coming along nicely here. We've done our contour drawing of our, this is more of a country scene with some country barns and houses and a telephone pole and some really large trees, which we're going to make this a low-key painting, so we're going to have lots of middle and dark tones. And we're also going to make this sort of like an early morning scene. So it's going to be kind of like not too bright. It's going to be like a darker feel to it, like first thing in the morning or even at sunset. So that's the look we're going to try to achieve with this. The painting is, we did a really good, healthy light wash of blue. So this is actually still buckled. The paper is still buckled and wavy. Maybe I can lift this up and I don't know if you can see that. See how the paper is kind of buckled? With a painting like this, we can get away with having continuing on with a little bit of buckled paper. And there'd be two reasons for that. One, this is sort of a simple painting as far as like the subject matter. There's not too much technical stuff on this, like fine detailed drawing. It's kind of a simple, some buildings, some foreground, some trees, some sky. So if you can, I would, myself personally, maybe this makes sense. Tell me if you think this makes sense. If the paper is still a little bit damp, we might have a better, interesting mingling of paint when we go on with our next glazing now on top of this one. So if we let this fully completely dry so that the paper is completely flat like it was when we first started, and we're using gummed paper, so this is actually a gummed pad. If you can see that, the black, these are blocks, artist blocks they call it. So they've got the block and then they got that little tiny bit of strip there in the middle that you can put like a small pencil in there and pry open the paper and then peel it off the block. So we're using block paper, which is really nice. It flattens out beautiful. So if you let this first wash dry completely, like maybe an hour or two, it'll actually go back to perfectly flat paper, and then you have an easier time painting. But and that's, I would say, if it's more of a sophisticated, complex painting, you might want to let that dry completely and let the paper get back to perfectly flat. But if you can say to yourself, this is not too much of a technical drawing, so I can get away with leaving the paper buckled a little bit, which I'm going to do here. And I'll take the plastic off my palette. I tried to keep the paint a little bit moist while we were taking a break. And let's see, let's go in. Okay, so we said we were using some reds, some golds. We're going to also do some greens. I'm going to take a mixture of sap green, olive green, a little bit of French ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt umber. That gives us a nice warm green. And so we'll start out with our, so what I'm going to try to do is get the feel of trees, like, so kind of, trees grow upwards, and I'm going to try to get that feel. And we're going to leave some lights, a little bit in the more of the center section over here, and we'll go with some. I'm going to try to, again here I'm trying to definitely modulate my color. I don't want to stay with the same exact color over and over. I want to try to change the colors up a little bit. I'm going to go darker. I'm going to go darker around the tops of the these buildings here. Now, rinse my brush a little bit. Now I'm going to try to do a little bit of lighter tonal values here with the little bit of red in there. So we're going to make this, not only is this a low-key painting, we're going to keep this painting very warm. So we're going to try to incorporate lots of reds in what we're doing here. And as you can see, adding that cadmium red really looks great. So we're just adding that cadmium red to our green mixtures, and we'll just add some more green, sap green, olive green, a little bit of blue, French ultramarine, a little bit of red. Again, we're having tons of fun here. Look at the fun we're having doing our brush strokes and carefree, just throwing the paint on here, following the flow of the trees. So maybe we take a touch more time there, just underneath this. Okay, and then we go in more greens, sap green, olive green, cad red. So we do some cad red, darken it up with a little bit of French ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt umber, but keeping it warmer. So if you can kind of think of your paintings or your paint as warmer and cooler, as long as you're kind of looking warmer with the mixture, then you know you're going to have that nice warmer feel to it. And again, I'm trying to get those nice feeling of tree shapes upwards and onwards. And I want to leave some of those little sparkles of light, but not too much, because that can kind of get confusing. So if we keep them in just a few locations, so try to keep everything mostly, I'm thinking trying to keep things mostly solid, or you know, the tonal values dark. Keep the tonal value, we're keeping our tonal values dark here. And I'm going to do a little dripping here and splattering, just to give us the feel of some trees, and careful that we don't get too much splatter all over, but enough just to make it look interesting. And again, here you're going to be painting this yourself, and you'll take probably a little more time than I am here. I'm trying to get through this so that we're not making a 20-part series here. And that's looking pretty good. We can scratch out some. I just use my thumbnail a little bit to put in some twigs like looking things. Maybe I will use a little more cadmium red and yellow ochre. Maybe I try to lift my palette up just a little bit. Get a little bit of that flowing paint. Some more yellow ochre there. And I think we're... So now you can see, like here on this section of the painting, we've blocked in a large area of dark tonal values. And for even more impact, very little. Here we're doing very little water. And we're going to use more French ultramarine blue in this mixture, so we're going to keep this a little cooler. And a little bit of red, just a little bit of red there, cadmium red. And in this section over here, it looks like it's sort of a, we'll make it look a little more distant, the section of the woods behind the, so if we can keep this darker here. That'll sort of look like it's a little darker back there, cooler. Maybe a little more blue for the coolness. Okay, sometimes I just have to make a comment here that sometimes doing too much or to keep going over and over a section can be a problem. So here let's call that good. Might not be a perfect look that we wanted. Let's say I think I wanted a little more bluish color in here, but it looks pretty good. It's a darker tonal value, which looks really nice. Darker here and then a little bit lighter on both sides. That gives a feeling of the distance. So we're getting some three-dimensionality in here. Maybe we'll do a little bit of dry brush technique here. I'm going to call that good there. Okay, some yellow ochre and some sap green. Some nice brush strokes here. And we'll keep coming along here on the, again, lots of fun with these mop brushes here. We're just doing beautiful flowing strokes. We're doing some more red here in the foreground with some green, warming it up. Okay, let's come back for the next part where we can get more into fine tuning of the rest of the painting. See you in just a few minutes.